Welcome to GK Mojo. So in this Target CAT 2021 series, we're going to see CAT most important questions series part 1. Alright, so in this particular series, what we are going to do is we are going to cover some really good questions for you so that you go through them whenever you're free. You can save the video and just keep on revising. In this 10 to 12 minute short video, you get to learn a lot. And these are questions which have appeared in CAT recently. So we'll discuss the questions, we'll discuss the technique, and we'll discuss the solutions as well. Let's get started. So basically this first question is about a parajumble. Alright, so over here what does it say? Parajumble mein there are like A, B, C, D sentences given and you need to arrange them. Alright, you need to arrange them in a box which makes a coherent paragraph, they say. Coherent means meaningful. Alright, meaningful paragraph. So let's start reading the statement. Man has used poisons for assassination purposes ever since the dawn of civilization, against individual enemies but also occasionally against armies. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to find the opener, alright, the opening sentence. This is your step 1, opening sentence. So this is a very generalistic statement, so we can even keep this as an opener, but let's go through other sentences and then decide whether it can be an opening sentence or not. These dangers were soon recognized. See, these dangers were soon recognized. What dangers? We do not know. So this cannot be your opening sentence. The Foundation of Microbiology by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch offered new prospects for those interested in biological weapons because it allowed agents to be chosen and designed on a rational basis. This is a generalistic statement, alright. But if you compare statement A and statement C, here the Foundation of Microbiology by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch is being discussed over here, alright, and they are discussing the interest in biological weapons and whatever that is. There should be something before this thing, alright. Something is missing because they've just started with this subject. So this is generalistic, but this is lesser generalistic than the opening sentence. So this cannot be opening one. Though the treaties were all made in good faith. Though the treaties were all made in good faith. So though means something is before this. So even this cannot be your starting sentence. So your starting sentence should be A. Alright. Now A should be followed by C for sure, because C over here it is introducing ever since the dawn of civilization. So this chronologically should be the first sentence any which ways. Then the foundation of microbiology is being talked about. Alright, so A and C. Next thing, alright, now you can understand though treaties. So there should be some sort of treaties be discussed in the previous sentence. If you can see over here, 1874 Brussels and 1899 The Hague, right? Without giving any more thought, B and D forms a mandatory pair. What does it form? B and D forms a mandatory pair. And this is your correct sequence of the parajumble. And this is how you need to solve with a proper mindset and a proper approach in each and every parajumble that appears in CAT. So this is a odd sentence out question. So what they do in odd sentence out question, 5 sentences will be there. Alright, out of this only 4 will form a coherent paragraph and 1 is odd. That is, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't go with the flow. So 5 sentences may say you have to shout out one sentence and input the number, whatever, or the letter, whatever it is. Alright. So usually in CAT they give numbers. Over here we have used this A, B, C, D. So let's start reading. For feminists, the question of how we read is inextricably linked with the question of what we read. Ellen Showalter's critique of literary curriculum is exemplary of this work. Androcentric literature structures the reading experience differently depending on the gender of the reader. So this is some sort of literature, you don't need to know anything, but what does it do? It structures the reading experience differently depending upon the gender of the reader. The documentation of this realization was one of the earliest tasks undertaken by feminist critics. Alright, about what? We don't know, right? More specifically, the feminist inquiry into the activity of reading begins with the realization that literary canon is androcentric and that this has profoundly damaging effect on women readers. Alright, so this is talking about some sort of feminist, and again this word has come up, androcentric. Alright, so basically even if you do not understand the context of this paragraph, what they have given to the sentences, they're trying to talk about this androcentric literature which structures the reading experience. All right, it's related somewhat to the feminist. All right, now first sentence, if you see, the for feminists, the question of how we read is inextricably linked with the question of what we read. All right, A and E is forming a strong link. If you see, all right, A and E forms a strong link because the realization by feminists that what women read has a damaging effect on woman reader. All right, so this and this sentence is connected, so we cannot eliminate any one of this sentence, so A and E are out of question, right? Again, if you see, E and D is also a very strong link. E and D is a very strong link because as both talk about feminist realization, right? See over here, feminist inquiry and feminist critics. All right, realization. Both, if you read the sentence properly, you'll understand that ED talks about feminist realization. All right, and what is happening over here is this is all related to the critics. All right, the realization of feminist literature, and this all comes down to B. All right, Ellen Showalter's critique of literary curriculum is an exemplary of this work. What work? This work, which is mentioned in D. All right, because यहाँ पे what they have said is documentation of this realization was one of the earliest tasks undertaken by feminist critics. So they created this document, and Ellen Showalter's critique of the literary curriculum is an exemplary of this work. This work is this documentation. So basically, even you have D and B, this is the sequence that forms, and the odd man out over here is C. So this was a tricky question because most of the students, by looking at this androcentric literature and this androcentric over here, would have considered that no, this is connected, so this cannot be eliminated. But see over here, if you go on to see very nicely, all right, he talks about the realization that literary canon is androcentric. All right, but C talks about the reading experience depending on gender of the reader. Here we are not talking about the gender, we are talking about feminist critics or feminist documentation. Another odd sentence out. So let's start. Sentence A. Talk was the most common way for enslaved men and women to subvert the rules of their bondage to gain more agency than they were supposed to have. Even in conditions of extreme violence and unfreedom, their words remained ubiquitous, ephemeral, irrepressible, and potentially transgressive. Slaves came from societies in which oath, orations, and invocations carried great potency both between people and as a connection to all powerful spirit world. Freedom of speech and the power to silence may have been preeminent markers of white liberty in colonies, but at the same time, slavery dependent on dialogues. Slaves could never be completely muted. Slave owners obsessed with slave talk, though they could never control it, yet feared its power to bind and inspire, for everyone knew. Oaths, whispers, and secret conversation bred conspiracy and revolt. So basically, by reading this, you would have understood that here the main, topic is slave talk. All right, slave talk is the talking over here. All right, that is the conversation between the slaves. Now, each and every sentence over here is talking about the slave talk. See, talk was the most important for enslaved men. Even in condition of extreme violence, these all ubiquitous are these are all this is all being communicative amongst themselves, right? So again, this is indicating that. Okay, if you're going to see, let's keep this sentence aside and I'll tell you why. If you're going to see D, all right, again, what does it say? Freedom of speech and the power to silence may have been the preeminent marker of white liberty in colonies, but at the same time, slavery dependent on dialogue. Again, slave talk. Slaves could never be completely muted. Again, slave talk. Sentence E. Slave owners obsessed with slave talk, though they could not control it. So even slave owners knew that there can be revolt, secret conversations. Now let's see what sentence C says. Slaves came from societies in which oaths, orations, and invocations carried great potency both between people and as a connection to the all-powerful spirit world. You can easily make out that this is out of context. This is talking about some spirit world in oaths, oration, and invocations, and great potency in all. This is not what the main gist of the topic is. Hence, C is the odd sentence out of it. So that's all in this video. Please visit us at gkmojo.com. Thank you.